Did you know that some of the highest paying jobs today didn't even exist 10 years ago? And in another 10 years, the job market will be completely different. Are you ready for these changes?
Okay, so, we're all kind of curious about what the future holds, right? Like what jobs are going to be around and what's going to change in the next decade or two. You sent over this jobsfuture.pdf, and I think it would be really helpful to, I don't know, go through it together and really try to understand what it's saying about the future job market. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this document points to some pretty big changes coming up. We could definitely do a deep dive into it and really understand the key insights. Looking at the specific jobs that are going to grow and those that might not be as prominent going forward.
Exactly, exactly. And the doc seems to focus on three main areas that are expected to see a lot of growth, right? Technology, green energy, and healthcare. Then there's the impact of automation, which we should definitely unpack as well.
For sure. Those are definitely the key themes that pop out.
All right, so let's start with the growth areas. I mean, technology, it's not really a surprise that it's going to be huge, right? Like it's already everywhere. But this Future of Jobs 2025 report that's mentioned in the document, it really emphasizes just how important specific tech roles are becoming, like big data specialist, for example.
Yeah, that's a good one. Big data is already changing so many industries. It's driving how companies make decisions, using these massive data sets to figure out trends and all that. So it's only natural that the need for people who can really make sense of all that data is going to skyrocket.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then there's this whole fintech thing, like fintech engineers who are basically the brains behind all these new digital payment systems and online banking platforms and stuff. I mean, it feels like everything's moving online these days, right?
Wow.
So it makes sense that those roles would be in super high demand too.
And then you've got your AI and machine learning folks.
Mm.
I mean, that's where things get really futuristic, right? Developing intelligent systems that can learn and adapt. That's going to change everything.
Totally. And of course, you can't forget the more, traditional tech roles like your software developers, data scientists, and those folks who keep everything secure, the information security analysts.
What's really interesting about all these tech roles is how interconnected they are. Like you get insights from big data, and that drives the development of AI, which then needs really strong cybersecurity measures to keep it safe. It's like a whole ecosystem.
Oh, that's a great point. A whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
And speaking of ecosystems, this whole green energy thing, I was actually kind of surprised by how much emphasis was placed on that in the document. Like, it's not just a small trend. It seems like it's going to be massive. They talk about renewable energy engineers, environmental engineers focused on sustainability, even specialists in autonomous electric vehicles.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely a big one. And, it's not just about the fancy tech stuff either. They specifically mentioned wind turbine technicians and solar panel installers as being like some of the fastest growing jobs out there.
Seriously. Wow, that's really interesting. I mean, it really highlights how serious this whole shift towards sustainable energy is, right? It's not just talk, it's actually creating jobs and changing the way we live.
Exactly. And if you think about the bigger picture, it makes sense. We need cleaner energy sources, better infrastructure to support it, and that means a huge demand for people who can design, build, and maintain all of that.
And then, of course, we have healthcare. I mean, that one's kind of a no-brainer, right? As the population gets older, there's going to be more and more need for healthcare professionals. The document specifically mentions a growing need for practical nurses and physician assistants.
Right, and that's not even taking into account the advancements in medical technology and all the new treatments that are being developed. I mean, healthcare is a field that's constantly evolving, so it's no surprise that it's going to keep growing and changing, and that's going to create new opportunities too.
Okay, so those are the bright spots, the growth areas. But now, let's talk about the other side of the coin. This document is pretty clear that automation, AI and robotics, it's going to have a big impact on certain jobs.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of people are concerned about, understandably.
Totally. So what's the doc say about that?
Well, it basically says that jobs involving like repetitive tasks, the things that can be easily programmed into a machine, those are the ones that are most likely to be affected. It's about efficiency.
Yeah.
If a machine can do it faster and more accurately, it makes sense from a business perspective.
Makes sense. So which jobs are they talking about specifically?
Well, to give a few examples, clerical and secretarial workers, postal service workers, bank tellers, and data entry clerks. Those are all roles where a lot of the work is pretty routine, a lot of data entry, processing information, stuff like that. And that's exactly the kind of work that AI and automation are really good at.
Right, right. I mean, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? Like, on one hand, we have all this growth in technology, creating all these new jobs, but then on the other hand, that same technology is also automating some of the existing jobs.
Exactly. It's a double-edged sword, for sure. And if you think about it, the advancements in AI and machine learning are specifically designed to take over those routine tasks, the things that humans might find tedious or error-prone.
So it's not all doom and gloom, right? It's just that the nature of work is going to change and we need to be prepared for that.
Exactly. And I think this document does a really good job of highlighting that.
Okay, so just to recap, it sounds like the future of work is going to be shaped by a few key things: technology, sustainability, and the growing need for care, right? We can expect to see a lot of growth in those areas, but we also need to be aware of the impact of automation on more traditional roles.
Absolutely. And I think the key takeaway here is that these aren't just isolated trends, they're all interconnected and they're all driven by these larger forces that are shaping the world around us.
So, in a nutshell, the future is coming, and it's bringing a lot of change with it. It's definitely something to think about, especially for anyone who's, planning their career or thinking about what skills they need to develop for the future.
Absolutely. And I think that leads to a really important question. How can we prepare ourselves for this changing world of work? What skills will be most valuable in the future? And how can we adapt and thrive in this new environment? It's something we all need to be thinking about.
Really great point. And you know what? I think that's a perfect place to leave things for today. It's a lot to think about, and I'm sure our listeners have plenty to chew on.
For sure. Thanks for having me. It was a really interesting discussion.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. And to all of you listening, thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.
If you found this helpful, hit that like button. It really helps the channel and lets me know you want more videos like this. I love hearing your thoughts. What job do you think will be the most in demand in 2035? Let's talk in the comments.